Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on Savitri. We are now on page 17 in Book 1, Canto 2, The Issue. We're quite a bit ways down in the page, and I will tell you where we are. For this, she had accepted mortal breath. Not birth, breath, huh? We have to be very careful here. We have to watch very closely Sri Aurobindo's words. What is he telling us here? That she has accepted to come down into a human body. She's the Divine Mother, but she's accepted to come down into a human body, accepted mortal breath. And then we see there's a semicolon where he says now he's going to tell us a lot more. To wrestle with the shadow she had come. Now, the shadow here is not the shadow we often think about. Like, we could say it's a phantom or a ghost or a dominant or pervasive threat, influence, or atmosphere, especially one causing gloom, fear, doubt. So she has come to wrestle with this shadow. And notice that he uses a capital S because it's so important, huh? And what does she have to do? And must confront the riddle of man's birth. To confront is to encounter, come up against something. She has to confront. But what is this riddle of man's birth? Because all through the evolution, from the stone and from the soil, there has been a very slow evolution. We've had the amphibians, we've had the fish, we've had all of these different avatars, they're called in India. And therefore, there is a riddle of man's birth, because he is the first one to have a mind that can think. The animals don't have a mind. They have an instinct. The deer will know when it's in danger. The lion will know when there's some prey out there, but it's not mental. It's purely instinctive. So, Savitri must confront the riddle of man's birth, and then this powerful line, and life's brief struggle in dumb matter's night. Well, this life is a very brief struggle. What's 50, 60, 100 years? It's nothing. It's not even the blink of an eye in infinity. So this is life's brief struggle. Now, I asked Amal, is there any negative sense to the word dumb? And he wrote, Sri Aurobindo uses the word dumb in the sense of mute, never of stupid or lacking in intelligence. I think the latter usage is more slang than literature. So every time now when we come up with the word dumb, we will know that it's silent or mute. Now, we're going to continue on here, and he's going to tell us what she has to do. She has to make a decision here, whether to bear with ignorance and death. And one time I recited, he's very happy. Um, I recited a part from Shakespeare. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind of man, and it goes on. Maybe someday I'll share it with you. Whether to bear with ignorance and death, or hew the ways of immortality. To hew something is to cut through it. If we hew a tree, we cut it down. So hew is an important word here, or hew the ways of immortality. Sri Aurobindo tells us in the Upanishads, by immortality we mean the absolute life of the soul, as opposed to the transient and mutable life in the body, which it assumes by birth and death and rebirth, and superior also to his life as the mere mental being who dwells in the world subjected helplessly to this law of death and birth, or seems at least by his ignorance to be subjected to this and to other laws of the lower nature. So, immortality, capital I, or hew the ways of immortality. To win or lose the godlike game for man was her soul's issue thrown with destiny's dice. The issue is the ultimate result, the event, the outcome. But not to submit and suffer was she born. To lead, to deliver was her glorious part. Full stop. Now he's going to tell us more about what she was actually. Here was no fabric of terrestrial make. Well, he's already telling us that she's not a human. She's not like we humans are. He says fabric here. In other words, a kind of dress of earthly make, terrestrial make. Fit for a day's use by busy, careless powers. And we know about these powers. They are the gods. They can be powers of light. They can be powers of the vital, middle vital, lower vital. And Sri Aurobindo says in India, they are termed asuras, rakshasas, pisachas. And then he says, they too have their cosmic field in which they exercise their function and authority. And some of them were once divine powers, the former gods, Purvedeva, as they are called somewhere in the Mahabharata, who have fallen towards the darkness by revolt against the divine will behind the cosmos. Oh, so she is no fabric of terrestrial make that is fit for a day's use, only a day's use by busy, careless powers. An image fluttering on the screen of fate, half animated for a passing show, or a castaway on the ocean of desire, flung to the eddies in a ruthless sport and tossed along the gulfs of circumstance, a creature born to bend beneath the yoke. And I have to get to the next page now. A chattel and a plaything of time's lords. So now we're going to go back. Okay, So let's go through what she is not. Here was no fabric of terrestrial make, fit for a day's use by busy, careless powers. Look, all that he packs into that one line. Only for a day's use. Well, the day to the divine is nothing at all. By busy powers, but they're also careless powers. They don't really care about what's going to happen. And she is not an image fluttering on the screen of fate. Fluttering like a bird? Half animated for a passing show. Half animated means giving the appearance of moving, of being alive. When we're animated, we're very alive. But half animated, it's just giving the appearance of being alive. Or a castaway on the ocean of desire. Now, we know what a castaway is, someone who's thrown overboard. So it's a shipwrecked person. But it can also be, figuratively, a rejected or discarded person. So she is not a castaway on this great ocean of desire. And Sri Aurobindo tells us so many things about desire, but I want to just quote one from Letters on Yoga. Desires come from outside, enter the subconscious vital, and rise to the surface. It is only when they rise to the surface and the mind becomes aware of them that we become conscious of the desire. It seems to us to be our own because we feel it thus rising from the vital into the mind and do not know that it came from outside. So, flung to the eddies in a ruthless sport. Well, ruthless sport is a merciless sport, has no compassion or pity. And the eddies, of course, are the small whirlpools that we see in the ocean. It's actually a current that's at variance with the main current, and so it's a circular form. And tossed along the gulfs of circumstance. Well, circumstance here means a condition that is a determining or modifying factor. And he capitalizes the C. And tossed along the gulfs of circumstance. A creature born to bend beneath the yoke. Wow. We know that the bullock has to bend beneath the yoke. We're all aware of that. That wooden piece that goes over the two bullocks is called a yoke. Now, our work is to be yoked to the divine. Okay? A chattel and a plaything of time's lords. A chattel is very simply a slave, or one more pawn who comes destined to be pushed one slow move forward on a measureless board in the chess play of the earth soul with doom. Whoa. So, we know what a pawn is in chess, and who comes destined to be pushed one slow move forward on a measureless board in the chess play hyphenated of the earth soul hyphenated with doom. Doom is a tragedy. inevitable destruction. And then he concludes by saying, such is the human figure drawn by time. Wow. So powerful, so extraordinary. And we could spend hours on the terminology that Sri Aurobindo uses for time, because time is capitalized here. Eternal is capitalized, but the eternal is simply the divine. So we know that Sri Aurobindo uses many, many synonyms for God, for the Lord, for the divine, and the eternal, capitalized E, is one of them. Such is the human figure drawn by time. Now, this line is so important that we should never forget it, because he says, a conscious frame was here, a self-born force. Notice that he hyphenates the word self-born, and he capitalizes the word force. Now, in Savitri, there are two lines that deal with the self-born. Self-born means not born like we are, having to come down, having to repeat births and deaths, but one who has the choice to come down, and that's the avatar, only the avatar. A conscious frame was here, a self-born force. So there's a line in Savitri, adept of the self-born force. I don't remember it exactly. So this is an extremely important line, that we know that self-born means produced by or originating from or by oneself. So only the divine can be self-born. In this enigma of the dusk of God, an enigma, of course, is a puzzle. This slow and strange, uneasy compromise of limiting nature with a limitless soul. What a line. And notice he capitalizes nature, because nature is an active force of conscious being. And we call it sometimes Prakriti. We sometimes refer to the divine creatrix. But he says in Essays Divine and Human, for nature is nothing but the will of God in action. Of limiting nature, because nature does limit things. Nature's constantly breaking up things and replacing them with something new. And we have the great example of the dinosaurs. They ruled the earth for a long time. And then when their time was up, they're gone just like that. And another being comes in. And so we, according to the tantrics, we have had more than 100,000 births to get here at this point. We have been born more than 100,000 times to be here on earth in this moment. Of limiting nature with a limitless soul, where all must move between an ordered chance and an uncaring, blind necessity. We are moving between an ordered chance. In other words, something that's ordered is very neatly arranged. But chance? The chance here is something that's not planned or expected. It's almost accidental. So we all must move between an ordered chance, so between now, and an uncaring, blind necessity. Well, Sri Aurobindo says, necessity is the child of the spirit's free self-determination. What affects us as necessity is a will which works in sequence and not a blind force driven by its own mechanism. So here we are sort of seeing that he's talking about the mass of humanity, where everyone must move between an ordered chance and an uncaring, blind necessity. We don't even know where we're going. We don't know what's going to happen tonight or tomorrow morning. So we are living in an uncaring, blind necessity. Now, why does he say that? Because he says, too high the fire spiritual dare not blaze. I remember one time Huta asking Mother, are you really the divine? She was like that. Mother said, come tomorrow morning. She came, and from here up, Mother showed her who she really was. Huta could hardly talk to me. She was in tears. See. If once it met the intense original flame, the original flame, of course, is Agni. It's the flame, the flame of life, that spark that lives in each of us. Even if it seems totally buried, we can't feel it. We can read about it, but we don't even believe it sometimes. It is the spark of God that resides in everybody. Even in the darkest souls. Why we would say, why does it live even in the darkest souls? Because everything is divine. Everything is God. So even in the darkest souls, that intense original flame is there. And then he's going to tell us what would happen if once it met the intense original flame, an answering touch might shatter all measures made, and earth sink down with the weight of the infinite. Well, this is so important because Sri Aurobindo says that the divine cannot show himself as we are now. Or even the earth could be shattered. And it has been shattered 6 times already. 6 times. We have, of course, Lemuria, Atlantis, and 4 others who were totally destroyed. Many of them far more advanced in science than we. If you look at the mountains of the Incas, there are landing places for spaceships that we still don't know anything about. So many things. So, an answering touch might shatter all measures made, and earth sink down with the weight of the infinite. Again, the infinite here, God, the deity. So many words. The eternal is God. Now, there is a line from Sri Aurobindo. Even the words eternal and infinite are only symbolic expressions through which the mind feels, without grasping, some vague impression of this supreme. How beautiful. Now, the next line, I'll go a few more minutes. A jail is this immense material world. Now, G-A-O-L was the old British spelling of J-A-I-L. Jail. And Sri Aurobindo uses both in Savitri. A jail is this immense material world. Across each road stands armed a stone-eyed law. Well, we have to look a little bit into this word law, because where we are now in the plane of ignorance, body, life, and mind, there are laws, many, many laws, that are imposed upon us. At least it seems. But Sri Aurobindo has so much to say about law that I want to just read something from the Life Divine. All cosmic and real law is a thing not imposed from outside, but from within. All development is self-development. All seed and result are seed of a truth of things, and result of that seed determined out of its potentialities. For the same reason, no law is absolute, because only the infinite is absolute. Now, that should tell us a lot, that no law is absolute. If we move from this lower station of body, life, and mind to the spiritual dimensions of higher mind, illumined, intuitive, overmind, there are no laws anymore that we understand. For example, we'll take morality. There is no morality on those planes. Morality is a mental thing, just in the mind, but it's a law. Do not do this. Do not kill. Do not, see, all these are laws. And in the Christian religion, they're known as the commandments. So, across each road stands armed. Oh, they're armed. A stone-eyed law. In Essays on Philosophy and Yoga, Sri Aurobindo writes, law is nothing but a mode or rule of action. It is called in our philosophy not law, but dharma, holding together. It is that by which the action of the universe, the action of its parts, the action of the individual is held together. We can't just get up from here and fly up into the sky. Law is necessary for order and stability. Yeah, we're in a jail. We can't get out of this jail.
The world is meant to be a jail.
Life is a jail. It's a prison until we can get out of it. The imprisoned soul. So our life is measured in very, very small borders. Very small. I like this one. I don't like this one. This one is evil. This one is good. Always these dualities in our life. And we're filled with them. We think of them much too much. If we can think of only love, we'd be making good progress. So notice he says this material world, the world of matter, the world of forms, is the material world. We're not talking about anything higher right here. A jail is this immense material world. And in that world, because there's a colon after the word world, Across each road stands armed a stone-eyed law. At every gate the huge dim sentinels pace. Sentinels is a sentry, a guard. A gray tribunal of the ignorance. Well, a tribunal is, of course, a group who decides on something. We've had many tribunals in the past hundreds of years. We've had inquisitions. We've had torture. People were said, "You're a witch," and they would hang them. Or we would have the Robespierre killing thousands and thousands of people because they were not of the faith. But he also did a good because he did a great good because he opened up things, but we won't get into that now. An inquisition of the priests of night. An inquisition is an official investigation. In judgment, sit on the adventurous soul. You see, these priests of night, these priests of ignorance or avidya, are sitting in judgment on the adventurous soul. And the dual tables and the karmic norm restrain the Titan in us and the God. I'm going to stop there because there's a lot to talk about the dual tables and the karmic norm next time. And the Titan also, which is capitalized here. And that would take 10 minutes. So we'll stop there for now. Mm-hmm. Is it all right with everyone? Okay. All right. A gray tribunal of the ignorance, an inquisition of the priests of night, in judgment sit on the adventurous soul, and the dual tables and the karmic norm. Well, I asked Nolini, I asked Alok, and I asked this lady Shruti. Shruti used to be a friend of Sadalu, and they were going to have a television program called Agni, in which they would bring Sri Aurobindo to the world. But it didn't work out. So, the dual tables, Alok. The dual tables is the seesaw of creation that ever swings between good and bad, without finding the way beyond both towards a higher state of being. Now, Nolini says the dual tables are simply the duality, the double consciousness. And Shruti says they are a list or a set of controls, life and death, formation and dissolution. So the dual tables and the karmic norm. Well, a norm is a standard, karmic norm. Now, what does Sri Aurobindo say about karma? He says in the letters on yoga, karma is only a machinery. It is not the fundamental cause of terrestrial existence. It cannot be, for when the soul first entered this existence, it had no karma. The spiritual law of karma is that the nature of each being can be only the result of his past energies. So what we are today are the result of our past energies, our many, many past births. And so the problems that we're facing today are not the problems of today, but they're the problems of the past that we must face today. And then this incredible line, and the dual tables and the karmic norm restrain the Titan in us and the God. Whoa. Now, who is the Titan? Well, the Titan, of course, in Greek mythology was one of a family of gigantic beings, and they wanted to rule the earth. Now, Sri Aurobindo says he has pages and pages on the Titan, and he says the Titan instincts call for a visible, tangible mastery and sensational domination. How shall he feel sure of his empire unless he can feel something writhing, helpless under his heel? If in agony, so much the better. So he is out to exploit humanity, to rule over humanity, and the Titan who advised Hitler was that very personality. He was a Titan. Hitler was a clerk, but this Titan gave him all the power, all the knowledge to do the things he did. Now, he goes on from there, and I'll end soon. Restrain, hold back the Titan in us and the God. So what is holding us back? Well, it's the priests of night, this tribunal of the ignorance. It's the inquisition of those priests. It's the judgment that they make on the adventurous soul. And the dual tables and the karmic norm restrain the Titan in us and the God. And there's a colon there, so we have to go on to the full stop. Now, pain with its lash, joy with its silver bribe. Interesting term here. Pain, of course, has a lash, but why joy with a silver bribe? Well, we can go back to Christ, and Judas betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. Silver bribe. What do? They guard the wheel's circling immobility. Now, that seems like a paradox. How can you have an immobility that circles? And Sri Aurobindo does that to us constantly. Why does he do that? Because he's trying to get us to try and understand something that is above this mind. So we have to take it in here. That's the only way. Pain with its lash, joy with its silver bribe, guard the wheel's circling immobility. Notice he has capital W for the wheel. Long ago, probably in the 1800s, the black people in America, we used to call them Negroes, saw a double wheel in the sky. A wheel within a wheel up in the middle of the sky. And they saw that the little wheel was run by the hand of man, and the greater wheel was run by the hand of God. And they have a song for it. We can probably even find that song one day. It's a wonderful spiritual. All right. Namaste, all. Namaste.